What happens when Hollywood royalty meets real royalty on Neither Blinks First? Picture it. Live with Kelly and Mark. Kelly Ripa, Mark Consuelos morning show royalty in their own right, are ready for another round of celebrity banter. Then Meghan Markle walks in. What starts as polite chatter turns into something you don't see before noon on broadcast TV. The studio lights were hot, the air electric. Kelly glanced at her cards. Mark adjusted his earpiece. They'd interviewed. Everyone but today felt loaded. Even the crew sensed it. "Welcome back to Live with Kelly and Mark," Kelly began, flashing her trademark smile. "Our guest this morning needs no introduction, but she's certainly been making headlines. Please welcome Meghan Markle." Applause. Meghan entered with the poise of someone born under a spotlight. Cream blazer, perfect posture. Eyes sweeping the set before she sat measured. Deliberate. "Meghan, thanks for being here," Mark said warmly. "It's been quite a journey these last few years." "Thank you for having me," she replied, smoothly. Then pointed, though I'm a little surprised by some of the pre-interview questions. "I hope we can keep things respectful." Kelly's smile barely flickered. "We always aim for respect. But our viewers appreciate honesty too." "Honesty," Meghan repeated, the word sharp as glass. Interesting coming from a show built on celebrity gossip and morning fluff. The air snapped tight. Mark cleared his throat. "Well, we cover a range of topics. Speaking of honesty, recently, you've made some serious allegations about your time with the royal family." Meghan's smile didn't move, but her eyes chilled. "Serious allegations. I shared my truth. My lived experience. That's what journalism is supposed to be, giving people a platform to speak." "Absolutely," Kelly cut in. "But when those stories involve accusations against one of the world's most respected institutions, don't you think there's a responsibility to provide evidence?" "Evidence." Meghan's tone climbed, the first crack in her composure showing. "You want evidence of emotional abuse, of racism. Some things don't come in neatly labeled files, Kelly." The audience stilled. No shuffling, no coughs, just silence. Mark leaned forward. "But Meghan, you've spoken about conversations regarding your son's skin color, about being denied mental health support. Those aren't just personal grievances. They're claims that have damaged relationships and reputations." "Damaged relationships." Her voice rose. "What about the damage to me, my family? Do you have any idea what it's like to have an entire institution turn against you?" Kelly's voice stayed even, but steel ran under it. "I think what Mark is getting at is accountability. When you make public statements about people who can't defend themselves, there's a responsibility there." "Can't defend themselves?" Meghan stood suddenly, her chair scraping. "The royal family has a PR army, centuries of image control, and bottomless resources. I had my voice and I used it." "Sit down, please," Mark said firmly. "We're trying to have a conversation." "A conversation." Meghan laughed, humorless. "This feels like an ambush. I came here for professionalism. Whatever this is." Kelly rose now, matching her. "This is professionalism. Real questions about real issues. You can't handle that. How dare you?" Meghan cut in, her voice shaking with heat. "I've sat across from Oprah, from world leaders, from serious journalists, and told different versions of the same story each time." Mark's voice was low, but carried. "That's exactly the point." The studio froze. Meghan's eyes flashed, her voice dropping to a lethal calm. "Are you calling me a liar? On national television?" Kelly stepped forward. "I'm saying truth should be consistent. Yours changes with your audience. My truth doesn't change," Meghan shot back. "But apparently your ability to show basic human decency does." Mark moved between them, hands raised. "Let's take a breath." "No," Meghan said, pointing at him now. This is on track. This is what happens when people can't handle a woman speaking her truth. They'd rather tear her down than listen. Nobody's tearing you down, Kelly countered, her voice rising. We're asking questions millions want answers to. You mean attacking me while hiding behind those questions? Mark's jaw tightened. We're doing our jobs. We're journalists, not your personal cheerleading squad. Meghan's reply cut deep. Your morning show hosts who got lucky with a time slot. Don't confuse yourselves with real reporters. Kelly's face flushed. Real reporters like the ones finding inconsistencies in your stories. Meghan stepped closer. Name one. And just like that, the line between interview and confrontation was gone. Asterisk, the tension was so thick it felt alive, crackling in the air like static before a storm. In the control room, frantic hand signals flew, but no one in the studio dared break the moment. This wasn't just a clash, it was the kind of live television meltdown that would be replayed for years. Kelly stepped closer, narrowing, voice slicing through the silence like a scalpel. You want inconsistencies? Less. Start with your wedding. First you said you had a private ceremony 3 days before the public one. Then, when asked for details, you called it a spiritual union. Which was it, Meghan? Meghan's face drained, then flushed hot. That's a private matter between my husband and me. Private? Kelly's voice sharpened. You brought it up in a globally televised interview watched by 50 million people. You don't get to call it private now. Mark's instincts screamed at him to cool it down, but he also knew gold when he saw it. Kelly has a point, he said. If you make public statements, they need to be accurate. Accurate, according to whom? Meghan spun toward him, her composure fracturing. The same institution that leaked stories about me for years. The same family that refused to protect me from racist attacks. Nobody's defending racist attacks, Kelly said firmly. But you've also made claims about your sister-in-law that multiple sources dispute. My sister-in-law? Meghan's voice was low, dangerous. You mean the woman who made me cry at my own wedding rehearsal and then let the press say? I made her cry. Kelly didn't flinch. First, the story was you made her cry. Then it was she made you cry. Which are we supposed to believe? Meghan's hands shook. Whether from rage or something deeper was impossible to tell. I told the truth. The palace spun the other version. But you didn't correct it for 3 years, Mark said. 3 years of letting people believe something you claim was a lie. Why? Because I was trying to protect her. Meghan's voice cracked the air, echoing through the studio. I followed their rule, never explain, never complain. And look where it got me. The audience gasped, the sound collective and sharp. Kelly pounced. So you protected her for 3 years, then threw her under the bus on international television. That's not protection, Meghan. That's revenge. Revenge? The word trembled on Meghan's lips. You think I destroyed my relationships, my peace, my safety for revenge? I think you put your children at risk, Kelly shot back. The moment you aired your family's private business on television, and you're still doing it every time you give another interview. The words hit like a slap. Meghan staggered back, one hand clutching her chest. How dare you bring my children into this? Mark stepped in. Nobody's questioning your ability as a mother. Oh, don't you dare, Meghan cut him off. Tears glistening, but voice still sharp. You want to talk about protection? Where was it when I was getting death threats? When I was suicidal and begged for help? The silence that followed was different now, heavier, almost suffocating. Kelly's tone softened, but her stance didn't. If that's true, then I'm sorry. But using that pain to hurt others isn't the answer. Hurt others? I guess. Laugh was bitter. If my truth hurts them, maybe they should ask why the truth is so painful. Mark's voice was cool. That's the problem. Meghan, your truth seems to shift depending on what serves your narrative. My narrative? Her jaw dropped. You think I left everything behind for a narrative? I think you made choices, Kelly said, blunt and cold, and now you're trying to rewrite history to make them someone else's fault. The words landed like an explosion. Meghan stood frozen, mouth open. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely a whisper more dangerous than her shouting had been. You have no idea what it's like to be me. You're right, Kelly replied quietly, unblinking. But I know this industry, and I know manipulation when I see it. That word manipulation snapped something inside Meghan. Her voice tore through the room, raw and shaking. Manipulation. After everything I've been through, that's what you call it. In the control room, chaos reigned, producers shouting. Lawyers on the line, phones ringing, but on set, no one moved. The camera stayed locked on the firestorm. Mark took one last step toward salvaging the moment. Meghan, please let's just take a moment to breathe. Don't you dare patronize me, Mark. Meghan's voice was a whip crack, sharp enough to slice the air between them. She pivoted toward him, fury blazing in her eyes. Don't stand there and tell me to breathe while your wife accuses me of manipulating my own trauma. I'm not patronizing you, Mark shot back, his tone firm, but even. I'm trying to have an adult conversation. You're the one making that impossible. Adult conversation. Meghan laughed, brittle, jagged sound that didn't belong in her usual polished delivery. This stopped being adult the moment you ambushed me with accusations and conspiracy theories. Kelly's mask cracked. The practiced warmth of a morning show queen evaporated, replaced with steel. No one ambushed you, Meghan. We asked the kind of questions any responsible journalist would. If you can't handle that, maybe you shouldn't be doing interviews. Maybe I shouldn't. Meghan's voice dropped to a dangerous murmur. Or maybe I shouldn't do interviews with people who've made up their minds about me before I even walk in the door. We haven't made up our minds, Mark said, bristling. We've looked at the evidence, the inconsistencies in your statements, the damage your accusations have caused. Evidence. Meghan spat the word like venom. Inconsistencies. Damage. Those are rich, coming from two people who make their living gossiping about celebrities and shilling breakfast cereal. The jab hit home. Kelly's jaw tightened, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. At least we're honest about what we do, she said, voice now ice. We don't pretend to be victims while attacking people who can't. Fight back. Can't fight back. Meghan's voice pitched upward into a near shriek. The royal family has centuries of power and privilege. I'm one woman with a microphone. One woman with a microphone, Kelly fired back, who's done more damage to that institution in 2 years than its enemies have managed in decades. The words echoed, hanging in the stillness. Meghan went utterly still. When she spoke again, it was quiet to quiet. So that's what this is about. Not truth. Not accountability. You're angry I challenged your precious royal family. You're angry I didn't smile and curtsy like a good little duchess. Kelly's cheeks flushed. The composure was gone. Don't twist this into some fairy tale rebellion. This is about you refusing to take responsibility and playing the victim every time someone questions your story. Playing the victim. Meghan's voice was razor sharp, each word deliberate. I am the victim, Kelly. I was isolated, attacked, driven to desperation. But apparently in your world, survivors aren't allowed to speak without being accused of manipulation. Mark stepped forward, voice raised in an effort to restore control. Both of you need to step back, but Meghan didn't even glance. At him, her focus was locked on Kelly like a predator on prey. You want to know the truth? You're threatened by me. You can't stand that someone walked away from the fairy tale you've built your whole career selling to housewives. A sharp gasp rippled through the audience. Direct hit. Kelly's reply was quiet, but laced with venom. Threatened by you. Meghan, I've built my career on decades of hard work and real connection. You had everything handed to you on a silver platter, and threw it away because it wasn't enough attention. Handed to me, Meghan's disbelief cracked into anger. I built my own career, my own life. I gave it all up for a family that never wanted me. That's the truth. Then why? Stay 2 years, Kelly pressed, pouncing. If it was so unbearable, why didn't you leave? For the first time, Meghan faltered. A flicker of vulnerability crossed her face. Because I loved him. Because I thought I could make it work. Because they promised it would get better. And when you couldn't control the narrative? Kelly said coldly, you ran. You took their titles, their protection, and sold them out to their biggest rival. I didn't try to destroy anyone. Meghan exploded. I told my truth, my experience. Your truth, Mark said, heavy with skepticism. Truth should be consistent. Yours changes every time you tell it. My truth is consistent. Meghan snapped. What changes is how much of it I'm willing to share with people who already think I'm lying. We're not going to sit here, Kelly said, and let you rewrite history without asking questions. Questions. Meghan laughed bitterly. This isn't questioning its character assassination. This is journalism, Kelly fired back. Real journalism asks hard questions. It doesn't just sell whatever narrative someone's pushing. Narrative! Meghan nearly screamed. You say it like, I'm some master manipulator instead of a woman who survived something traumatic and dared to speak about it. Courage. Kelly's tone dripped disbelief. You call it courage to sit in a $75 million mansion and complain about palace life. The audience was frozen, breathless. Meghan's fists clenched at her sides. When she spoke, it was soft but deadly. You've made it clear. My pain doesn't matter. My experience doesn't count. You've decided it's all my fault. I've decided actions have consequences, Kelly said, and yours have hurt far more people than you'll admit. My actions? Meghan stepped forward, and the first time, Kelly stepped back. Her voice was barely above a whisper now. But it cut through the silent studio like a blade. What about their actions? What about the racism, the lies, the complete abandonment when I needed help the most? Even if all of that is true, Mark interjected, his tone measured but unyielding. It doesn't justify what you've done since. Meghan's head snapped toward him, eyes narrowing. What I've done since? You mean survive? You mean build a new life for my family? You mean refuse to be silenced? I mean, Mark said bluntly, exploit your connection to them for financial gain while actively trying to destroy their reputation. The words hit the air like a gavel slamming shut. Meghan froze, her mouth opening but no sound coming. For a beat, she looked genuinely stunned that someone had dared to say it so plainly. When her voice returned, it shook with fury. Financial gain. You think I put my family through hell, gave up my home, my security, my relationships, for money? I think, Kelly cut in, her tone icy and precise, you figured out how to monetize your victimhood. And you're furious that people are starting to see through it. That was the breaking point. Meghan's face drained of color, then flushed crimson, then went pale again. She trembled where she stood, voice ragged and low. How dare you? How dare you? Stand there and reduce everything I've been through to a business transaction. How dare you minimize my pain, my trauma, my children's safety for your entertainment, your children's safety? Kelly's retort was sharp enough to draw blood. You're the one who put them in the spotlight, Meghan. You're the one who keeps bringing them into this. I'm protecting them. Meghan's voice broke into a scream. I'm making sure they grow up knowing their mother fought back, that she didn't just accept abuse and racism and lies. You're traumatizing them, Kelly screamed back, losing all composure. You're teaching them that family loyalty means nothing, that you can burn down relationships whenever things don't go your way. The two women faced each other like fighters in a ring, breathing hard, eyes locked, both beyond reason. Mark stepped between them, voice raised. That's enough, both of you. But Meghan shoved past him, stepping nose to nose with Kelly. You don't know anything about my children, or my family, or what I've sacrificed to survive. I know enough, Kelly shot back, cold as marble. I know you're in my studio, on my show, attacking my professionalism because you can't handle real questions. Your show. Meghan's voice dropped to a dangerous growl. Your show that profits off celebrity gossip and morning fluff. Your show that thrives on the same tabloid culture that nearly destroyed me. My show that I've earned over 30 years, Kelly fired back without missing a beat, built on honesty and genuine connection. Not manufactured drama and a victim narrative. Manufactured. Meghan's voice cracked with outrage. You think my trauma is manufactured? My children's safety is manufactured. I think. Your version of events is manufactured, Kelly said, each word deliberate. You've crafted a story where you're the hero and everyone else is the villain, and you can't stand anyone questioning it. The studio was so still, you could hear the cameras hum. Meghan stared at Kelly with unblinking hatred before speaking, her voice like ice. You know what, Kelly? You're right about one thing. This is your show. And I don't want to be on it anymore. She turned to leave. Good, Kelly called after her. Because you're not welcome here anymore anyway. Meghan froze. Slowly, she turned back. What did you just say? Said you're not welcome on this show, Kelly? Repeated, stepping forward. This interview is over. You need to leave. Gasps rippled through the audience. Mark's face was a mask of shock, but Kelly didn't waver. You're kicking me off your show? Meghan asked, incredulous. I'm protecting my audience, Kelly replied, from watching someone manipulate, attack, and play the victim. You can walk out on your own, or security will escort you. For a second, it looked like Meghan might push it further, but then her shoulders sagged, something in her breaking. Her voice was low, almost hollow. Fine, you've made your choice. But don't pretend this is about journalism, truth, or protecting anyone. This is about power. And you just proved you're like everyone else who tried to silence me. She turned for the exit, heels striking against the floor in the dead silence. At the doorway, she paused and looked back one last time.